This is Derri, and this is new. I'm Derri, and instead of my ugly mug, today we're going to look at my journals. But I've been watching a lot of journaling videos lately, and there's a very large overlap between journalers and readers. So I thought I'd share my journals. And from here on out, I'm pretty much just showing off, so please forgive me. Note, every single item that you are about to see came from Temu. That's everything from the journals themselves, through the stickers, the washi tapes, the scrap papers, and the pens. All of them. All of it's from Temu. Right, this is my 2025 journal. It began clearly at the beginning of the year, and I've had a couple of years practice at this point at journaling, but I'm struggling to do the usual booktuber thing of journaling just my books. So I've been trying a lot of different things. Not all of them have worked. My Tetris savings, I started. My meal planner. Now this was a good idea, and I do quite like this spread. There's a trick to it. I covered the whole page, well both pages, with book cover, clear seal. And it means that I can use dry erase markers on here. So anything whiteboard related you can use on these book cover sticky clear sheets. So that was a really good idea that I just didn't use. I was attempting to figure out what to do with my time, and yeah, that didn't work. This one worked. This is my sleep tracker from a few months ago, and I learnt that I do better going to bed around 2 a.m. in the morning. This was simply a text one because I needed to write some stuff down, and I was doubting my own importance. So I kept track of who called me, and mostly it's my sister, because I love fits, and why not? And then I made a mistake in the next page, so much so I glued those two pages together. Brain dump, essentially. This is my review or brain dump after reading Discovery by BookTube's very own Minton family. I really enjoyed that. If you haven't read it, give it a go. I'm a fan of Princess Donut, clearly. I liked these stickers and I just wanted to use them somewhere. So I just did this, giving myself somewhere to just write random things. And I did, so that worked. This one didn't. This was supposed to be a system that helped me get my videos ready for YouTube. And I don't think I filmed any of those. So yeah, that didn't work. This daily spread I really like. I like the colours, I like the lettering I used. It just wasn't very helpful because I don't do well with following routines. I just don't. As we see by the fact I stopped, 2 weeks in, and it was just silly to continue trying to do that. So then I read some books. I read the Valdemar Collegium Chronicles for the first time, and now the only series I haven't read of the entire thing is the Family Spies. This series of targets I wanted to hit, take my meds daily, eat regular food with like vegetables and stuff. I like this spread. The spread was pretty. Proved to me again I'm not very good at day-to-day stuff. A quote from Granny Weatherwax: "We don't do nice, we do right." All of these things I just wanted to highlight these purple stickers because I thought they were pretty. I love this spread. I wish I had done this in a different colour because it's so dark you can't actually see any of the writing, but it is there, I promise, and I actually think that looks really lovely. Check out these stickers though. You're going to see a lot of these, but only sort of that bit of them, these edges, because I think they're really pretty and I use them to decorate other pages. Another quote. This is a lovely witchy spread I did, and I wish I'd used good font because the rest of it is gorgeous. These stickers are fabulous, and I did something clever. I started to use windows for the first time with Dutch doors. See? Dee dee. Hello. Show me. This is Granny Weatherwax, pretty much challenging some would-be witches. They pretty much failed. Another window, yay! And a group of witches is called an argument. I don't think you'll get any argument on that one from any reader of Terry Pratchett. This I am very proud of. This I attribute entirely to Janny Wirtz calling me out for not actually practicing my art, therefore not getting any better. So I practiced and I drew some things. I drew the sea serpent, I drew the dragon, I drew the ship. I'm very proud of it. But yeah, the rest of it's stickers. I then attempted to do some savings tracking, and that didn't work. Another tracking spread. I quite like how that turned out, although these browns don't quite work the way I wanted them to, but I do like the impression it gave. And I read Tori's book. Cold Silver for Souls was glorious fun, and if you haven't read it, I can highly recommend it. This spread I actually really enjoyed making. I had no intention for this spread, I just wanted to see if I could do a completely monochrome one, and then it worked really well, and I thought it was boring, so I added yellow, and yeah, it still worked, but I didn't have any purpose for it, so. But I did print out a quote, because I really like this one from the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I'm a fan. I liked this habit tracker. I thought it was great. I even managed to fill one of them in completely. I didn't forget my meds once in October. Yay me. And this one is a good one for filling up space, which seems like a really strange thing to say for journalers, but occasionally we do just have a couple of pages we have to get through before we can start a new bit. This one is in the beginning, and it's the first line of every book I've read so far this year. This one goes from January to April. And then there was my Christmas planning. This was back in September I put this in here, and it's worked because I've got lots of ticks on here because I've done those things. This is just some love for Evie and Matt, who conspired to send me some beautiful books. So I was filled with love for them, and they got their own spread. This is another one of Dutch Doors. I really like this one. I just wish I'd done the ravens in such a way that they stood out more, because I think they're really clever. So I did enjoy that. Another Discworld quote. Susan hated literature. She'd much prefer to read a good book. Discworld all over. I love it. Susan is fabulous. If you haven't read Hogfather yet for Christmas, do so. Susan is a character in it. This is my Dresden spread, and I'm kind of thrilled with how this turned out because it looks really pretty and girly. And then I added these skeleton reader stickers, and it just kind of works for me. I love it. The most recent book will come out in January, so I had to pause my reread at the beginning of last month, but I've picked it back up again, and I am a few chapters into Small Favour. But these are all the individual books, getting all these 4.5 and 5 stars, because they did start getting really good. So Small Favour will go in here, this spread will end on changes, and my new journal will pick up where this left off. This is my series tracker, and many of you will be pleased to see that the Volkozigan Saga now has a card. So there you go, I will be starting that in the new year. More in the beginning, where we've got a faux Dutch door, because really it's another page. And another faux Dutch door, and the end of the spread. I quite like that one. I don't like the next one, so I'm not going to show you that one. I really should glue these two pages together, which is what I usually do if I'm particularly not fond of something I've done. But here's some more of the in the beginning. And I like this colour that I used. I like the paper I chose to go with it. I love the scrap paper that I had extra of. I just really like this one. And this one doesn't match, because this was intended to go with a reread of a different book, but I instead picked up Empire of the Dawn because it was arrived and I desperately needed to read it, so it doesn't match, but it did get 5 stars. Then we get this one. This one I've just filling up with random things that have happened to me over the last few days. I will continue to do so. It's not really a gratitude, it's not really a journal of any kind, it's more, this is what I achieved today. And sometimes that's just getting out of bed. But that's okay. We can celebrate even the small wins. This one is another lesson in not hoarding stickers. I did have these purple stickers from my very, very first Temu purchase back in 2020, I want to say 3. and I hadn't used any of them. So I used them, and I really like this spread. I think it's pretty. And that one's another one that I don't need to share. This one is another habit tracker / come on, do the things. And another one that I didn't fill out because I'm apparently not good at keeping myself accountable. But never mind. This is one of my prettiest spreads in this journal, I think, and I really like it. This is one of the instances where I've used the edges of stickers as the border, and I think it works to really lovely effect. Yeah, there's still time for another book to make the grades, but so far only 9 have really stood out. Here's some more just daily thoughts. I was trying to keep track of what I ate. Turns out I eat a lot of rubbish and drink far too much tea. However, I do like these stickers. This is the very last spread in the book, and I really like it. I think it's pretty. And that will be probably just daily blah until I run out. But yeah, so that's that one. This one is my overflow journal. It has all sorts of randomness in there. It has no plan. This journal, again, from Temu. This was the same piece of paper with the middle taken out and one with colour put in. The same batch of stickers and papers that I had been hanging on to since my very first Temu order, which I quite like. And then I did my Kindle TBR spread, which I haven't used, as you can see, because I've put it in my actual reading journal for next year. So this one will end up being for something completely different, I'm sure. But that's fine, because I was still practicing my Dutch doors. So, to-do list. Donut keeping me accountable, kind of. I've got some ticks, so that's good. I have more sticker and washi tape usage. Again, these stickers, these golden black, I got in my very first Temu order, and they're literally just sitting there, and I don't think I've used them, so I used them in here. I like this spread. I think it's very pretty. I think it's going to look lovely when I filled it out, and yeah, I like it. This is why we journal. We do things that make us happy and make us smile. So that made me smile. This really belongs in my reading journal, and I may do something similar and pretty much just copy it all across. This is the Side Changeling reread I'm doing at the moment. This is a series of books by Lady Singh, and each of them has their own little page. So those are the first 4 books. The 5th one I finished a week or so ago, and Branded by Fire I am reading at the moment. But they all have space. Each of the books gets a little half page, right the way through to the last book of Side Changeling, which gets the double but lots of stickers, so the space evens out, before it turns into the Side Changeling Trinity series, which will go into my reading journal. And more just using up some stickers, because although that is otherwise quite plain, I'm not quite sure what I want to do with that. This one I was just practicing my collage techniques, and I'm not sure that one worked, but this one did, even though it's only 2 elements at the moment. There is still room for improvement. This spread I love. This is the only thing I've ever put on Instagram, because yay me. I made a Dutch door that I'm really proud of, because I think that is gorgeous. I, of course, am biased. It is my journal, and I haven't shown you the worst pages, so I've come a long way, guys. This was my celebration of Empire of the Vampires trilogy, because it was bloomin' brilliant and I loved it, and the artwork in those books is just breathtaking. This is the Van Gogh stickers I bought a few months ago. Not stickers, washi tape, and they're beautiful. I have no idea where I am ever going to use them, but I simply had to have them because they're beautiful. This is a scene that sort of worked but didn't. I'm not quite sure how I feel about this one. I like this little bit of it. I think that's really nice. I think if I'd left it at just this and the 2 outside pages, I'd have been fine. But I went and added this page, and I don't think this page works. So, but that's okay. We learn and we improve. This is how we get better. And I like this one. I bought a set of washi tapes, and it came with this orangey peachy colour, and I didn't think I had anything I could use it with. But when I looked, I actually had quite a lot with this sort of colour. So this turned out to be a surprisingly good little set of pages that kind of made me rethink what I'm capable of. So I'm very proud of that. And the next spread is one of our exceptions. This next spread is mostly free. This is my Christmas spread for this year. And the only thing on here I paid for are the washi tapes, which came from Temu, and the gold stars, which came from Temu. And the sticker paper, obviously, because, you know, you've got to print stuff on something. But all of these images I got for free from the Creative Fabrica website, which, if you haven't heard of, is a resource that's simply mind-bogglingly brilliant. And every single one of these images came from a freebie. They have an entire section on the site of images that are free, that you can go in and download for your own use. And I fell in love with this little bloke that was poking around the corner. So I downloaded some Christmas things. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. I think it's gorgeous. I love this little guy so much. I really do. And these little squirrels were so cute. So I'm really proud of that one. But that's the last spread in this journal. I didn't want to put this in my 2026 journal because obviously Christmas 2026 is more than a year away. And I will probably have new ideas by then. And there's no room for it in my current journal. So that's why it goes in my overflow journal. But I'm really happy with it. Like I'm properly delighted with how that turned out. So that's that journal. This one is my 2026 reading journal. This journal, by the way, another one from Temu, has the same beautifully foiled cover. Can you see any of the sparkle on that? No, not really. A little bit. The same foiled cover as a series of journals that Tifosi brought out. It's almost identical, in fact. The only thing that's different is it doesn't have the foiled end page. Everything else is identical. It does come with this tiny bit of detail here and this, and I really liked it. I didn't want to hide it or cover it up. Instead, I thought I would work with it, and I think it worked quite well. This nameplate where I've put my name is actually the centerpiece of this piece of paper. So this is the dodgy front couple of pages that don't quite open properly. I have glued them together and made a pocket so that I can keep track of which pens I'm using. So that where I want consistency and cohesion, I can use the same things I've been using all along. I will be trying to keep to this sort of goldy, sepia toned and black throughout the journal as much as I can. I mean, there will be exceptions. There'll be books that just simply don't work with that theme, but individual book reviews and spreads will be exceptions rather than the rule. This is my index page. This is an example of something you can do to hide a mistake. This sparkly set of gel pens that are, in stationery terms, juicy, take a long time to dry. And I turned the page, obviously, because that's what you do. You turn the page. And it created spots on the other page. And there was just no way I was going to get rid of them in any way that looked nice. So instead I added to them. So the whole page has dots now. And I actually think it looks quite good. So I'm happy with that. Okay, this is my stairway to 2027. These are 12 books that I want to read that will engage my brain. Those of you who have been here any length of time know that's a tricky proposition for me. After the stroke, things just don't want to go in and stay in. So each of these planks, which will become stairs on my stairway, have a book on the back. This is A Madness of Sunshine by Nalini Singh. This is the first thriller that she wrote, having written only paranormal romance to that point, but I've read nearly 30 of her paranormal romances, and I really like her writing, and I like her writing outside of the romances because I get very invested in the overarching stories. So I think that might be really good, and I'm quite looking forward to it. Every book journal, it has to have a bookshelfie of some kind. This one is not going to be filled in with the books that I read through the year to show me how many I've read. This instead has pre-titled books of books I own but haven't read. I did make some mistakes on this bottom shelf here, so I just covered them up with some textured stickers and turned them into baskets. So seriously, you can cover up any mistakes you make in a journal. It's brilliant. Booktube calendar. This has the birthdays of people who I have discovered their birthdays so that I can be sure and wish them a happy birthday when that date rolls around. It also has odd days that I've discovered, such as Chocolate Day on the 28th of October or Donut Day on the 6th of June. Kayla, in particular, I thought of you when I wrote down Baking Day on the 17th of May. So I will continue filling that out as I find new weird holidays. And then we get into book challenges. We've got a few. The author challenge, where an author is from, a short story collection, a debut novel, which I think is a good idea. Then there's the classics. Most of these I own and haven't read. A couple I have read, but so long ago I have lost sense of what exactly it was. And I've learned a lot as a reader since then, and I think I would get more out of them now. So I will be rereading a few. This is also another trick when you make a mistake in your journal. You can just glue a separate piece of paper on top of the mistake, which is what I've done here. I did an A that was far too big and threw the whole page off, and I'd nearly finished at that point and didn't want to have to start again. So I had spare paper left over from cutting off bits of pages in earlier journals and just covered it up and started again, because we don't have to live with mistakes in journals, we can just cover them up. The book challenge, where we had the author challenge, that it was about the author. This one's about the physical book. My challenge in here has things like less than 200 pages. A lot of book challenges have a more than 500 pages, but I read fantasy, so it's much harder to find a short one. Written in an epistolary style, which will marry up with one of my classics because Dracula's in here, so I know I can get those two with the one book. So I can do that, I think, relatively easily. And this is just spaces for the covers. Then we have actual book bingo. This spread was a nightmare. It is full of errors, but I have managed, I think, to successfully hide most of them. You may be able to see a slight shadow in some of the boxes where the paper has had to be pulled up and restuck down, so much so it's damaged the surface of the paper. So I have covered that literally with the bits of washi tape off of washi tape sticker books that had no image on them, and just smoothed that out so that writing on it was easy and didn't look terrible. These are my prompts. They all have boxes next to them because I'm going to fill this out randomly. So I had to have a way to make it completely random, because otherwise I would cheat. I know myself well enough to know that I will simply find the prompts that will make the bingo happen and read those books. So in this little envelope that is temporarily stuck in here until I fill the challenge are the letters B through O in the right number of occurrences and the numbers 1 through 5. So with each book I successfully finish, I'll pick a sticker from each of those, put it in the box and put the cover over here. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of fart-arsing about, frankly. But I had fun doing this, and I'm allowed, so there. This is my books read, clearly. It's a bar graph. I copied it directly from my spreadsheet because I think it looks great, and why shouldn't I celebrate it? So, and that's what that is. I haven't filled in December because December isn't over, and I'm pretty sure I'll get probably another 2 or 3 books in. So, yeah, looking forward to filling that in. This is my number nerdery because I'm proud of myself, and why shouldn't I be? I don't achieve a hell of a lot, but I do read, which means I can celebrate the small wins, and I'm going to. Something interesting I did discover was I had a very poor reading year in 24 and a really good reading year in 22. When I went back to look at 2022 to figure out why it was such a massive reading year, it was the year of brain fluff and cowboy romance. I read a lot of fluff that year, but read them I did. Book math. Much like girl math, boy math, dad math, this is imaginary numbers ultimately. I keep track of the value recommended retail of every book I read. That's nerdy and ridiculous, but I do, because I have OCD and I make no excuses for that. And obviously I keep track of how much I spend on books every year. So the value of the books read is offset against the value of the books bought. And the imaginary figure is the figure of how much money I have saved. Because it doesn't exist. This is an imaginary number. I didn't save $1,000. I didn't save $600. I spent $858 and I spent $880. That's actually quite consistent. Sorry, sidetrack. The spending isn't altered by the imaginary savings. So there's that. This page here I will fill in on the 1st of January, or with figures from the 1st of January. My spreadsheet is marvellous and spits out these figures for me at the beginning of every year because I ask it to. And it breaks down my entire library into physical, ebooks and audio, and it will tell me how many I own of each, how many I've read of each, and what the percentage that leaves me with of unread. Hopefully by the end of the year, December 31st, those numbers will have reduced significantly and I will have something else to be proud of. Otherwise I might just seal that shut. Or not fill it in, because, you know, it's my journal. This is my reading tracker for next year. Literally just a place to put book covers as I read them. There's 130 something spaces, which should be plenty given my last couple of years. Books of 26. This is in place of the book bracket that I've seen in many other reading journals. Each month I will have a book of the month that will be printed out and put in a frame because, hey, it was good enough to be a book of the month. We shall celebrate it. Each of those books will be pumped into this little table here. It will go head to head with every single other book. The winner of the most head-to-head battles will be my book of 2026 and get a full-size frame. This is another journaling trick. Anybody new to journaling, don't be afraid to do sticker surgery. Sticker surgery is quite common and can be used in a variety of ways. And in this instance, all of these square frames that started this size, I have literally just cut down to size. I've cut them in the middle of where there's not as much stuff, joined them back up without those pieces I've just taken out, and except for that one that didn't turn out square, I'm pretty happy with this. These ones were this wide, they were exactly the right width, they were just very tall, they were taller than these ones. But I'm not going to use the number of frames that I own unless I do this, because they're all this size or bigger. And no one has room for that, but I didn't know that when I first started buying stickers, and I bought 6 sets of 20 because I'm an idiot. So I literally had 120 of these stickers, and there's just no way. That's literally 10 years of that. That's not gonna. So I'm going through them now by sticker surgery, because why not? They're my stickers. I can. And then we get into a couple of honourable mentions for 2026. This one doesn't have a title yet. This one, though, with its wee crown, is the Prince Charles Award for spending the longest time on the TBR. This poor book will have waited the longest to shine of all of the books I have owned and not read. It will have sat in my imaginary ebook shelves or on my physical shelves for however many years, waiting for its moment to shine. It will go there. When it finally gets read, it will have its moment. This is the list of prompts that, if I can't think of what I want to write about a book when I've read it, will give me somewhere to start. This is my first monthly title spread. This is for January. It's the first time I've printed out the titles, and I don't know if I'll continue. It looks very nice, but it doesn't really match the rest. So I'm not quite sure if those will stay or if I'll peel them up or cover them or something. This is the second exception to everything coming from Temu. This gorgeous sticker comes from an artist called Maragona Suli. She has her own website. She is based in Germany, and her art style is simply darling. I adore it. Her stickers of witches and fairies and dragons are just gorgeous. And I will be saving so that the next time I order from her, I can get better value for the shipping cost from Germany. She's one of very few people I have discovered online who doesn't offer a digital service for some of her stickers. Not everybody does, but most. Most places who do journaling stickers do have a digital option where you can buy the file and print them at home. But that's everything. That's my reading journal ready to go for 2026. If you liked this, please tell me in the comments because I'm guessing I do have some people in my audience who journal also and will find this interesting. Or not. I kind of need to know. Let me know. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like, you know the things. Because with this, I am going to love you and leave you. If I don't see you before, have Merry Christmases. Be safe over New Year's if you're out on the roads. And I want to see you all in the new year. So be safe, be happy, eat good food, have hugs, laugh lots. I'll see you then. Bye.